as if it's not every show is great.
Just
But
consistency
today's,
consistency is important. Let's be as
that's
consistent
right.
as the Daily Show.
Got to beat the drum. Today, we're happy to have Steve Riparip on, who is the CEO and founder of Tact Firm. One of the leading, if not the leading agency on retention marketing, working with Alpine IQ, whom you may have seen in the news, has recently acquired our Happy Marketers platform. And what we're here to talk about is how to use inventory data to power smarter marketing. What does it look like when inventory and marketing are working together on the same problem rather than as siloed? But for those of you who don't know who we are, Happy Cabbage helps make retail cannabis ordering easy. We do this through our platform, Happy Buyers. And it really helps retail managers, owners, and purchasing managers, buyers get the job done quickly, menu planning, ordering, inventory budgeting, finding cash flow that you don't currently have available liquid, and helping you make it liquid to the tune of $150,000 on average per store over 3 months. And also buying your buyer 10 hours of time on average a week, or whoever is having to make those purchasing decisions. It could be the retail owner, depending on where you're at. Happy Buyers is the only inventory tool specifically built for retail cannabis buyers. This is what we obsess about all day, every day. All we do is talk about what is the problem that buyers are facing, or what are the problems buyers are facing, and how can we help you solve it and make your job so much more enjoyable. A couple other things we've been able to accomplish over that time is reducing days on supply, days of supply on hand by 17 days, total SKUs by 11%. We're finding this money, mining it off of your shelf in overstocked inventory and aged inventory, and helping you decide which SKUs to reorder and which ones not to reorder. We have a bunch of great customers who have provided us really great feedback on the impact we've been able to make. You can check that out on our case studies on our website, and or just call some of these cats up yourself if you know them. They'll be happy to share our story. I'm trying to talk too fast, I think. Obviously, keep stumbling on my words. We're integrated with the best of the best. These POSs pretty much cover the majority of the entire recreational cannabis landscape. So if you're on these POSs, you can work on Happy Buyers with us, and we can solve these problems for you. And you can do it for free for 14 days with live store data. Literally, you could start saving money in your store right now for free for 2 weeks, which will probably pay for the entire year's subscription. I don't know. I don't know what the numbers are, but every retailer we see has overstocked inventory that we can help save some money. So check us out, sign up for free, test drive with some live data. If you don't like us at the end, no harm, no foul. We can walk away as friends. I'm going to give Steve an opportunity to talk us a little bit about what Tact Firm does, so we can really couch what this conversation is going to be about when we're talking about inventory and retention marketing.
Brad,
Yeah,
I know
and
you were talking fast, but that was good. I thought it was a great pitch.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
the Happy
Steve,
Buyers
Steve, Steve
platform
got to
is,
step up now.
yeah, maybe I'll talk a lot slower, but no, the Happy Buyers, such a powerful platform. And, I've had exposure to that over the past couple of years, and it's been really cool to see how retailers have been taking advantage of that. But for us at Tact Firm, we've realized that dispensaries suck at retention. And so we come in and we fix that. And we're completely focused on it. Some really shocking retention statistics that I've seen very consistent across all these different stores. And these are two of the statistics of why I really started to figure out how do we help these stores out. The first on the left is 49% of customers at a store, they only shop once. They don't come back for a second visit. That's crazy. Half the customers aren't even coming back again. And then on the right side, about 76% of customers haven't shopped in over 60 days. We call those lost customers, and we found that they don't plan on coming back. So it's a huge opportunity to increase retention at the stores and get these customers back and get revenue from these existing customers rather than trying to fight for all these new customers out there. And here at Tact, we have a full-time team of about 22 staff. We have marketing, creative, data, operations. We're all obsessed with retention, and we're trying to figure out how do we get more customers back, fine-tuning and tweaking what we do. And we've worked with over 120 stores in about 12 or more states. We send, I think, almost around 4 million emails a month for our stores. And so we really try to figure out, okay, what subject lines, what small tweaks to the email or SMS design is going to really get these customers motivated and engaged. Yeah, worked all across the state, so it's been really fun. And yeah, we'll take all these insights of what we gained from working with all these different stores and helping manage their retention systems, and how we can coordinate between inventory and getting better and smarter marketing.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Steve. So I'm going to kick the conversation off to Danny and Steve to dive in and start getting into some of that data and some of the implications of it. Steve, you shared some incredible statistics today on LinkedIn. I can't wait for you guys to talk about. Very informative stuff, looking at the data across all these states and making some really good observations. For everyone watching, we're going to have a Q&A section at the end of the webinar, the last 15 minutes. So at any point in time, you can enter questions using the Q&A box down below on your Zoom toolbar. You can also just enter them into chat if you like, whatever's easiest for you at any time during the discussion. And then at the end, if we haven't tackled that question, we'll tackle it near the end. And you can also just feel free to chat freely. We like to have a little bit of a lively discussion here, right? So if you agree, if you disagree, hit us up in the comments. I'll be there. In the meantime, I'm going to kick it off to Danny and Steve. Have a good call.
Awesome. Steve, this one's fun, and it's interesting given the recent I guess merger and acquisition news, right? We've talked for maybe even as long as I've been at Happy Cabbage, which is pushing 2.5 years. I don't know how long you've been doing Tact. When did you jump on the scene?
Oh man, I've been doing retention for probably about 3 or 4 years, but I started Tact officially last January, when
Okay.
I decided let's help out more stores.
Yeah. Because I know we talked a lot about obviously trying to get you into our Happy Marketers platform at the time. And a lot of that was because of the data you were sharing, even right when you started this, right? And as a data-driven company, right, our founder, Andrew's a data scientist. We put a ton of machine learning and data. I think anybody who knows us, either on the marketing side and now obviously on the inventory side, just knows how much we nerd out on data. So finding like-minded people that nerd out on data, we've obviously connected and talked for a couple of years now. Like I said, trying for a while probably to get you to do more of it in Happy Marketers and leverage some of our data and unique strategies. But now that platform has found a new home in AIQ, it's a really interesting time to come together and talk about what you've uncovered over that trajectory of 18 months of kind of focusing on that platform and retention, what doesn't work, which we're going to start out with, what works, and then what I'm most excited about biasly, like what the future is and what people can be doing on this bleeding edge of, I think, data they're not leveraging right now, that we always had a view on the Happy Cabbage side because we had a marketing platform and inventory platform. Now we just have an inventory platform, and we're partnering with AIQ on the marketing side of it. But we always had this view of marketing and inventory need to work together, and the fact that more than half of the budget of any store is tied up in inventory, right? You're a retail shop. You live and die by buying product and turning around and selling them for profit, right? Just to overly simplify the world of what a retailer does. So inventory is the center of the universe, is what we always say. And the inventory data is some of the most important and most powerful data. Obviously, your customer shopping data and all of that you're traditionally working in, you've got to know, you've got to segment. But there's this gold mine of what's happening in inventory. And I'm so excited to talk to you about that and hear your perspective. And I know you, just to kind of share with everybody, we've given Steve some access to our kind of demo environment, which is built off of live store data, anonymized. So he's been in the platform looking at things, looking at how we can leverage that data as a marketer, putting that retention brain on and say, oh, now that we have this data, here's how I could level up campaigns. So we're going to showcase some of that from just real world strategies. But I always like the level set of what are people doing today? There's probably people, on this call watching this webinar that have been doing the same thing for a while and may have joined because they want to see what they should be doing, kind of compare themselves to what others are up to. So let's just dive into current state, right? And current state maybe even being the least common denominator. There's kind of like, good, better, best, but even in this case there might be like worst, okay, good, and then we'll talk about best, not to call anybody out. But let's jump into, I just want to kick it off with like, what do you think? It's always like hot takes for us. Like, what should just people not do? Just off if they bounce off this call right after this segment, like, what do you want people to walk away and just never see again in dispensary marketing?
Yeah, I mean, so like I signed up for dozens and dozens of dispensary, email marketing, newsletters, specials, VIP programs. And we also audit. I've audited probably over 150 stores now. And what we don't want to keep seeing is deal sheets. So sending out deal sheets like isn't inherently bad, but what you don't want to do is send it out every single time because on one end, okay, now you're starting to almost have like a commoditized type of perception of the product where it's always on sale. And so you're training the customer to always expect deals and certain products that are going to be a lot cheaper. It also like doesn't look great either, right? It's kind of like a grocery store ad that you'll see and you can't get as creative with it, which we'll see a little bit later on. So on the left, the first one on the left is like just listing out deal, deal, deal. And we see these a lot where this is like the only email being sent out.
I've seen it too, and a couple of things that jump out on this one, that hurt me because we're so focused on dispensaries budgets and not just right now, forever, right? Taxes are extremely high in most taxed industries, right? That's eating into margins. As soon as you start discounting, that erodes your margins. As soon as you start, products age, which we'll talk about. So we're looking at, one thing we always say is when somebody buys inventory at a retail store, you're projecting kind of your keystone market. You're projecting that 50% margin on that, right? You're projecting I'm going to buy this for 5 and send it for 10, and your whole business model is built on that. And then I see this deal sheet and it's like 50%, down 20%. And we're like, well, there goes that plan. There goes that entire pro forma out the window, right? Unless you're smart enough and this is your entire business strategy. But I can't imagine that they built a whole plan on Steezy being 50% off every week, right? Like you just can't really run a business like that. The other thing that jumps out to me on this one, and I worked on the brand side for so long, and I worked on education on the brand side and just consumer awareness on the brand side, and like we don't have it in this industry, is what percentage of customers that get that deal sheet even know those brands or even know 10%? Like that's just brand logos. Like I don't know what that prog is. I guess if I squint, I could see vapes and it's just like vapes. There's like 6 vapes companies on there. I don't know what their offering is different. I don't know why I would go BOGO 15% off, which also just leads to me going for the best discount automatically, right? And that erodes all the brand equity that's built up in there. If I just see like logo vape, and I'm like, well, I guess I'll go for the one that's 50% off. So those are 2 things that jump out to me on that one, or just like the heavy discounting and leading with it. And then you mentioned the creative, but I'll just specifically call out, it's just brand logos. Like there's no real marketing in there. It's just a list of brand logos. It's the tombstone kind of slides that you see that we all put up with our, here's who we do business with. But that's not consumer focused marketing.
Right. And yeah, I know this one that shows like 7-10 deals, but this was taken from a retailer that this is what they send out every week. This is what their weekly emails look like. There's different sections of this. And yeah, some logos are really hard to read. And even simply just changing that to a more readable font and text of the name helps better. If it's a recognizable enough logo, sure, like Steezy, great. People will know that. They can
Yep.
see that there. Like PAX, they'll see that. But there's
Yep.
something on the third row down, third over, 25% off in like a circle logo. I can't even read that. And
Yeah.
so they have to
Yeah.
be very highly familiar with that there for
And I think that
sure.
might even be Maven, which is a great brand. So that's not doing them service, right? The one that jumped out at me is like Alien Labs, which has a ton of recognition. On this sheet, it looks like a heavy metal band. Like it just looks like that heavy metal band font, which is cool if that's your thing. I see that, like I see a lot of memes about like, all just comparing all those band logos in there. But that just jumps out to me of that's not something that it's not doing service to the brands you're carrying. It's not doing service to your store. And it really is just leading to, I think, what we've all been talking about for a long time, which is like discount led marketing is just putting retailers frankly out of business, right? That is a race to the bottom strategy, and nobody can survive doing that one.
Yeah, and I do a lot of these email reviews on my LinkedIn where the emails that we receive, I look through them and I review them not just to like break them apart and roast them, but to give actionable feedback. So like this middle
Yep.
design is something that I had reviewed, and one of the things that retailers really need to stop doing with their dispensary emails is just doing these like section block sections. Like think about your email as an experience going from top to bottom. How do you encourage a customer to flow through it? And again, we'll see some examples of that later, but when it just goes section to section, especially when the branding is so different on each and the colors, like
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to, in design, we call it hierarchy, right? When headline is usually the biggest and there's a subhead, and then there's call to action buttons that attract someone to click and take an action. But when you get sections like this, it's confusing. Like that first one there, what they really want to promote is a 15% off, but look how tiny it is. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
small
Once again, I'm
subhead.
like squidding over here. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're hiding the thing that they want to be promoting the most, making it bigger. On that second piece, buy two for 130. Okay, it's contrasted there, but the select brick doesn't contrast against that
Yeah.
blue. It's an awkward pattern with the select logo down there. Like, doesn't look good. It gets a point across, but what if someone wanted to buy that? Right?
Mm-hmm.
What do they do? Where can they go and buy that? Do they have to scroll down until they see a shop now, which takes them to the regular menu? I mean, there should be a button on there that says shop brick here. Uh, and then, yeah, like Sandra says, a lot of times these brands and vendors provide assets that aren't ideal.
Yep.
And
And you just
so,
drop them right in. That's
yeah.
what this looks like for me is like, first of all, brands do better too if these are the brand assets you sent over, because as
Hmm.
Steve mentioned there, your design could level up. You're not doing your brand justice. But then when you just stack it up, we see it all the time, on Happy Marketers. There were times where I was helping get campaigns out and customers would send us on holidays. We were kind of all hands on deck because somebody would be, oh, I'm just trying to get this out. Can you help me with it? Like my image isn't formatted right. And our team would jump in there. And I would look at this and I would just say, like, this is what you're sending out. This is what's going out the door. You're just sending this brand asset because there's no voice or design for the retail store here, right? Like, not only is it just a hodgepodge, there's nothing to say, who am I shopping with? Like, where is my loyalty? And I know we want to talk about retention here, right? Where's the retention to the store that I want to build a relationship with? I've just got a bunch of brand assets that they sent over, and it's just like, I guess I'll open up that folder and that I've just been collecting this week's assets from the brands and just let's just throw them all in there. Shotgun approach.
That's a great point because what this does here, when you just pop in brand assets, it creates more loyalty to that brand. And so when customers have loyalty to that brand, they're going to go find a place that offers it cheaper. Instead of,
Mm-hmm.
hey, here's a store I love to shop. What can I buy there? They're going to say, here's a brand I like to buy. Where can I get it the cheapest? And so giving them that look and feel that is consistent with the store, a message that they see every single day, maybe multiple times a day, you need to drill in the brand of the store with a really nice email flow. Pop in we can talk about exactly what to put in there, but like pop in a header with the logo, consistent color, section and section. But yeah, there's so many ways to improve that.
And how about this last one? Just the competitor discounts one here. Your last email example over on the right.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of stores when we ask them, hey, what's your promotion or discount strategy? Or how do you do your weekly deals or monthly deals? How far in advance do you plan those out? I say, well, we don't plan them out. We actually look at what our competitors are doing and we try to beat them or have something similar. And again, that leads to um, competing on price instead of what your store can really offer. And maybe you do have some things that are priced better. But if you're competing against what other stores are doing, you have no idea what their margins are. And that's another benefit of happy buyers is that, okay, someone could be offering it for 30% off. They might have the extra margin because they've bought so much bulk, or maybe they're trying to get rid of something because they have too much of
Mm-hmm.
it. So they're just trying to fire sale it out. But if you're constantly trying to match their discounts and you don't have the margin there, or you're doing it for the wrong reasons, that's where, yeah, you'll start hurting.
Another thing that jumps out here, and I know we'll get this to it in the best practices, but one thing that's consistent across all three of these is the lack of targeting, right? If you sent this to me, which percentage of the products showcased are actually, applicable to me in here, right? It's what kind of buyer are you? What kind of products do you buy? What kind of brands do you purchase? So, the thing that we always pushed in the marketing conversation is just targeting, right? Segmenting and targeting and getting a message to a person that they're going to act on. And you kind of mentioned it in the middle example here about like, where's my call to action, right? On that brick one, like, where's my shop? And one of the problem is there's just too many. Even if you did have the shop now, like, that's great. At least I could self-select into the one I want. But I'm going to scroll through this. Like, those are 4 different products. I like what customer is that gonna be, oh, I'm interested in all 4 of those actually, right? And you're making me scroll through a bunch of noise. Definitely the first example. But the all of these that are kind of it's the blast versus the targeting, and it's something that we always talked about. Blasting is expensive in a number of ways, right? Blasting is going to drive attention away because I might not even hunt through it. I'm going to just start ignoring your emails. It's expensive because you're literally paying to send the same thing to everybody instead of having a targeted deal. And it's also expensive because people opt out of that, right? Like it starts to cost you. I know you've been talking about opt outs, but if you just send me a bunch of generic stuff, like nobody has attention right now. Nobody has time. I don't have time to sort through and figure out what's applicable to me. I might go Google it and hunt and then just land on, I think Brad mentioned, like, he was deal hunting. He was looking for a certain product. Like, that's probably the path I'm going to take versus, oh, I'm on 7 different email lists. And I'm going to sort through, their entire scrolling 7-page email that was blasted out to 50,000 customers.
Yeah, and to contrast this, here's all the things that best stores can do and what we've seen done as well. And these are some of our examples, and I'll walk you through some of these. And think about your email marketing as like your digital bud tender, right? They're communicating with your customers when they're not in your store. And so you want your email marketing or any type of digital marketing really to be an extension of your store. So are your emails and messages talking to your customers as if they're reinforcing the brand of the store, they're representing your store. So they should look a certain way, but they should also sound a certain way. So on the far left here, like what some of the best stores are doing, they're highlighting new products without a discount. Example on the left, being able to highlight product that's not on discount, not promoting some massive promotion, right? Gain interest with your customers by making it look nice, a nice featured image, emphasize that it's new, and find a good way to make it presentable. Do the brand justice, do the product justice. Yeah, it takes a little bit more design, but it's better than using some generic product image that's not cropped or doesn't look good. You can see here, like when we position Fernway here, took some of their product catalog or put in the back there, so small so people can see, okay, they have pre-rolls, they have vape, they have disposables. Then we took one of the most popular products, which we identified in the inventory, and we put that right in the middle, which is a vape cart, and we made it a little bit bigger. So, because we know that, okay, out of the Fernway pre-roll, vape, and all-in-one disposable products, most people buy the vape. So let's make that most noticeable, but you have to look in the data. And Danny, kind of what you were saying earlier, everything starts with inventory. Yes, customers are coming in and purchasing things at different intervals, different categories, but they're purchasing inventory. And so, as smart marketers, they should be tied in with the inventory in some type of way, either going in themselves and being curious and saying, what are the most popular products that we have? How can we promote these popular products that are not on discount? How can we pair with the retail and inventory team to find unique ways to highlight, promote without necessarily going the discount route?
Without a discount, I mean, you've got me, right? Like you said all the things here that ring true from both our marketing experience and all the work we've been doing on inventory. which is, new products. Like people are interested in trying new things when we train bud tenders, right? Like the new products, like people walk out with new products all the time in stores. It's a problem for brand loyalty, but when bud tenders, we always thought in training about, the bud tender's going to ask a couple questions, they're going to put 3 products on the counter, and you're going to walk out with one of those. Some of the stats early on were like 92% of people would walk out with a bud tender recommendation. I think it normalized down to 80%, which is still an insane conversion rate for a recommendation to say, at least one of these products I'm going to recommend. 80% of the people are going to walk out with one of those products. And if you think about that, you said it, digital bud tender, right? Just thinking about all of your marketing as being the voice of the store, the mouthpiece of the store, which if you're in store is that bud tender. But if your first interaction is digitally, or if the top of that funnel is that digital one, is like it starts there. So, whatever you're telling your bud tenders to do, hey, we're carrying Fernway. We need to tell people about this, right? This is so common in inventory, where we see a slow ramp on a new brand, especially, and a slow ramp on a new SKU, even for a new brand, right? We had a webinar where we talked about this. I think it was with the Snort Roots team, where they talked about kind of these like trial periods for new brands, and then their intervention points. So they're like measuring it, like how did it do over the first week? How did that brand do over the second week? Okay, 30-day check-in. And I love their perspective, because at that point the retailer was saying, what's our responsibility to educate people about this brand and build awareness for this brand? We decided to carry this brand. Nobody's going to know we carry this brand. Nobody's going to know what this brand is or what its differentiators are unless we tell them. So leading with that, like even just this, mine your inventory for new brands and new products and promote them without a discount is such a powerful strategy, because it's a reason to get people in, and they're going to want to see this. A brand like Fernway is going to be great for that, because that has a lot of cachet. That is a well-known, well-respected brand. That brand has taken over the Northeast, and they're probably expanding past there, but I know them from, like Massachusetts. I think is the first time I came across them.
Mm-hmm.
Great product, great team behind it. They were growing like wildfire. I say grow like wildfire, but it's wildfire season here. I'm gonna back off that statement. That's a horrible thing to say. I know it's hit California, hit Colorado's, or let's take that out of our vocabulary. That was growing like whatever, like a weed, like a good weed. But being able to promote that without a discount by just saying, hey, we're carrying Fernway now, or here's a new product from Fernway. And I also just love how much intentionality you mentioned in this simple one iPhone screen, that I think, in contrast to the last slide, where it was literally just grab all the brand assets and throw them on a screen, just whatever the brand sent over. The fact that you're looking at what can I promote without a discount? What's a new brand? And then what's the most important fast moving product in that brand that's going to grab them, and then creating a new asset out of that intentionality in just one screen, I think is what everybody should be doing.
And we have to remember too, about 80% or so of customers view their email on their mobile device. And so you have to design for mobile first. How is it going to be perceived? Making sure that if you're using really wide but short graphics, they look great on the computer, but they might be too small on screen. And finding ways to, how can you take up more of a viewing screen to emphasize, a certain thing, one thing, just like the second one in the middle here, where there's a slow mover and we want to highlight discounts for it. And so, okay, this inventory might be moving a little bit slower than normal. Use happy buyers to see like how long at its current sales velocity will it take to move this product out. Oh shoot, it's going to take 70 days because we're only selling 10 a week. Okay, what can we do to start promoting this? And think of these emails too as like a primer for your customers. They're going to get exposed to this, and then they're going to come in and shop. And so whether we're promoting a new brand or something else that the store wants to push, they're getting exposed to it already. So when they come in the store, they can, and the bud tenders bring it up, or they see it being promoted on the screens there, on posters, flyers, in a featured area in the displays. They are seeing it multiple times. That's not their first time being exposed to it. So this discount for slow movers, especially, you know, this is an example of a store in Massachusetts. We wanted to really highlight this, not just have it small in the email. Want to make a really nice statement and featured image. So making sure that we go top to bottom, look at the hierarchy, right? The contrast in colors, fonts. So the most noticeable thing here is after you get past the headline and subhead, 2 for 50, right? We want to emphasize, okay, you can get a deal on it. Then people ask, like, how much of a deal is this? How much money am I saving? Well, the 60 is crossed out there. That gives people what we call an anchor, where, okay, it was 60, now 2 for 50, I saved $10. People need a frame of reference of how much money am I saving? Is it, just because it's 2 for 50, it could have been 55 before, it could have been 52, it could have been $80. So give them an anchor of how much money they're saving there. And then we have that call to action button at the bottom. So grab yours, getting away from all the simple call to action buttons like shop now, shop here. And how can you don't want to get too creative either where it confuses people. Like I've seen too many overly creative call to action buttons that just seem like another headline rather than something to click. Call to action means action. You're like, shop here, see this here. And if you look at the left one, that Fernway one, it says, see Fernway here. We call out the actual brand instead of just shop now. Well, shop Fernway here. Use the brand name, use the product name wherever possible. And that seems to really help with engagement, and it looks nice and represents the store really well.
I love it. I love it. And I love the creative copy. Brad and I are definitely guilty of overcomplicating fun CTAs or things. You don't see most of them. Sometimes they'll get through. But if you saw our Slack channel, there's a lot of things that we think we are hilarious about that, we should never put on a button. So I definitely, but I appreciate the grab yours, and Brad's making some comments here about some psychology around that. Like that's a really good, not just like a shop here, you're just like, oh, that is mine. Like this revenue, especially if that's targeted to people that have bought those vapes before or similar vapes before, like you're going to want this. I think the all the intentionality behind that one as well. This last one is probably one of my favorites, from just talking about the inventory data too, because I see a couple things tied up in this one about popular products. So using trend data, right? Like using run rate trend data, like what's the most popular product last week. I think, not just jumping ahead and stealing your line on this one, but I do think people ignore that because we get into the psychology. We all know now weed doesn't sell itself, right? But we get into like the fast movers sell themselves. So like our new version of weed sells itself. Like we know selling cannabis is hard now. And there's a lot of challenges and we have to get better at it. Hence all this, don't do this, do this. But then when we're in that, I see all the focus on marketing the slow movers, marketing the aged product. To Sandra's point in the chat, marketing the expired products or products that are about to expire, right? Like we're working on like the problem children in our inventory, and we're not marketing the best of the best. And the best of the best is where 80% of your profit's coming from. And, yes, you need to bail yourself out of these things and never carry them again. But when all your marketing's there and you're not able to push these products without a discount, that are the favorites, the urgency in this, I'll let you talk about it, but I love a lot about this first graphic on this one on the right here. That's the customer favorite.
And it's simple. Like that one is like, okay, how do we promote something that isn't on sale that is still attractive? So the top part is like this week's customer favorite. It shows popular, but also shows like social proof validity that, okay, other people are buying this, other people enjoy this, maybe I will too. And then instead of just saying, this product is $50, you say only $50. It's not on sale, it's not on discount, but it's only $50. And right, showing the packaging there, some products, some of the flour nugs there, clearly stating what product it is, kind 14 grams. Then a little banner there that says, hurry, it won't be here for long. So we do a couple things in there. At the top, we add in social proof that it's popular. We add in kind of, again, like another price anchor saying it's only $50. And then we add in the urgency of because it's popular, it's not going to last very long. It's going to go quick.
Hmm.
And so there's all these marketing psychology tactics that can be used in very tasteful ways, obviously to keep it compliant and used in ways where you're not lying to people and you're saying all true things. And again, in this example, like this is at the top of the email and it's the biggest. Then below we have the deals for that day. But at first, we want to promote something that isn't on sale to get people primed and maybe interested in that. Because also in this store, this is a store from Massachusetts, their flour is hugely selling, especially the larger sizes like the 14 grams and 28 grams. And so it's like, okay, how do we sell more of the bigger sizes of flour without always cheapening the price? Well, we promote it and call it out in these different ways that, hey, everyone else is buying it, you should too. It's called I believe it's called the bandwagon effect in cognitive psychology.
I think if people walk away, a couple points here. One, this is real marketing. This is stuff that's live. This isn't, hey, you should do this. This isn't, like an idea. This is something stores are doing. So if you're looking at your own margins, if you're looking at your own cash flow, if you're looking at your own dollar profitability, and you feel like you're underperforming to your peers, if you feel like you have a problem there, you have improvements to be made there, this example on the right that other people are doing is how you get there. You are promoting a product that is fast moving to move even more, to turn it over, inventory turnover faster, right? Brad talked about this at the beginning. The best stores are turning over inventory faster. They have less, the store that work with us have less than 30 days of products on hand. When they start with us, we see things in the 70s, right? They have less than 30 days on hand. They are turning over products faster, and they're turning over their faster movers faster at a higher dollar profit. This is one of the strategies to get there, right? Is just not doing the discount marketing, not doing the just marketing the stuff that's not moving, marketing the stuff that's moving, marketing the stuff that's moving at full price, and leveraging all of those things that you just mentioned and just the psychology behind this of the social proof, the urgency, and here to get people in the store to pick up a product that's moving at full price. Retail stores have to make that shift to stay in business. The stores that are doing this are the stores that are opening additional licenses through and through, right? These are the stores that we're working with that have gone in the last 18 months. And we work with a number of them from 3 to 5 to 10 stores, right? And that are going to be 20 stores before we know it. They're gobbling up licenses from other people that just haven't made this shift, that are struggling to implement strategies like this, that are struggling to get their inventory under control, to get their cash flow under control. This example on the right to me is kind of that top tier example, and it's a real example. What I love about it is you're showcasing things that stores are sending out. It's not like, hey, maybe somebody should try this. It's people are doing this and it's working. You see it in the marketing data and the retention data. We see it in the inventory data. And you put that whole picture together, and that's a healthy retail store, right? Their customers are coming back in, the customers are spending more, and their inventory days on hand is reduced, their cash flow is freed up. This is how you get there.
Yeah, and this is a good point because we do look at the marketing data to figure out, okay, who's clicking on these links? Every section we put in an email, we have it associated with a different URL and link so that
Mm-hmm.
we can see, okay, if we're promoting something that's not on sale at the top, how many people are clicking on that? Okay, people are clicking on it. Let's double down on that. And then there's sections where, okay, people aren't clicking here, then we can remove that, maybe put it lower down. So using all that data to figure out what are they clicking on, but also what are they buying after they convert on these? And then again, always going back to that inventory. So like Danny has here a great example of how what he's going to talk about.
I think we've been talking through this and woven into the conversation, which I love, of just like inventory driven marketing. How do you use inventory data to get through that, right? You mentioned so many things, new products, right? Products that are fast movers, these kind of things. I think an important point is that marketers don't always have access to that data, right? Like you probably struggle. I know I've seen you on LinkedIn. You're doing like API pulls from point of sales and building up some of your own data sets, and you're hiring data people you had on the slide there because it's not front and center for a marketing team to look at. A lot of times the marketing team has the brand deals they're working on, right? What are the co-marketing? Who's my featured vendor of the week? What are my featured deals of the day? you've kind of got this marketing calendar, and you're kind of planning that out and sometimes sticking to it regardless of what the data might tell you, right? It's like, oh, I planned this calendar and I got my assets for it, and like we're going to run that calendar, right? But what happens when a new product comes in and starts trending up? What happens when all of a sudden we look and we've got a problem in our inventory and marketing needs to jump in and help with that? Instead of just being handed that, breaking down these walls, sharing data, like this transparency across the organization. I don't want to bore people with too many screen shares here, but for some of these things, I want to just show we have more and more in our Happy Buyers tool. We have more and more marketers than ever and store managers log in. Our number of users per retailer has grown to like 8 to 10 users, where it might have been a buyer and maybe like the buying assistant, like there might have been a buyer and a backup, right? Two people on the buying team logging in because they were doing the weekly orders, and that's what the tool's for. As we've expanded the functionality of our platform to show more trend data more clearly, show trend data for things that are really hard for people to figure out, which is, am I actually reducing my aged inventory cost? I'm looking at a specific brand here, KPIs that you need to measure and improve. We mentioned the predicted days on hand. We love 14-day turnovers. Here's a store. You can see where they started. Now, this is a little bit of a 420 stock up, but managing, to 14 days on hand, managing your age inventory costs, reducing that where you can, looking at your total dollar profits and the contributions in here, but being able to go in, let's say that we're working on edibles and just really quickly, across a number of stores here, in one click in a second and a half, finding my fastest moving edible and saying, can we put that up, on a store? Can we do some work on that? That's your top movers, right? If I'm just like really looking for flour, we'll even do it in here. Do I have 14 grams at this store? I'm gonna do the demo bug of doing this live. You mentioned, we know, and I could do this down to a store. Let's just say I'm doing a mailer for, the downtown store here. And I want to find a certain weight of products. I want to find those 14-gram flour. And I want to see, what's my fastest moving 14 grams out by a factor of 2x. Here it is. Like, go push that more, right? Like, go through here and sort on all of this inventory data that we have and all the trending of this data and knowing what's new and what's hot or what needs to move, right? Like the aged inventory cost always being an important one here. What flour do I need to clear out, right? That's not moving. But being able to find all of that data, having the marketing team have access to how are these products trending, how are these brands trending, how can I find these tidbits that can make it into my marketing to make my marketing perform better, I think is data that we just didn't really have. Like, we had this wall of like marketing's working and marketing. They're working on a marketing calendar, and inventory's buying products every week, and just looking at kind of the trailing performance of marketing, like inventory's buying based on always trailing 30-day data, right? How did it perform last month? What was my run rate last month? What do I need to buy on there? Getting those teams together and showcasing that data and operating off that data to do those non-discount marketing tactics has to be the future. It should be the now, but it has to be the future in there. As far as how do you drive products without discounts? How do you maximize dollar profit at the store level? How do you reduce aged inventory cost? And that's a world we've always wanted to see. And I love that people like you are kind of diving into the data and kind of already doing it. I know we want to move into Q&A, so get those questions ready and start dropping them in chat. I know we've been responding live here, but Steve, you had access to our platform. I just want to ask you, like, what are a couple of things you saw in there as a marketer that you were just kind of like, holy shit, like, yeah, I need that. Like, I know we had a conversation, so it is a great leading question because you were kind of asking, hey, how can my marketing team across these stores get this data so we can kind of review it? You saw things in there that you wanted that you didn't have available. Like, what jumped out at you navigating that you think would make marketing better at the retail level?
Yeah, marketing has to accomplish the goals of the business. And the goals of business are to make money, right? And you make money, like when I go through a logical process, right? Stores make money by selling product. And so then you have to ask, which product do we sell? And it's on the retail team and the inventory and buyers to bring in the right product but then it's up to the marketers to promote the correct products out of all that mix. And so being able to look at, like I said, like the popular products, seeing, okay, or how you had like the filter where you can see from a very large table view of products, you can filter and sort it different ways, but also seeing how long it'll take to sell through that inventory. Because that gives ideas like, okay, why is it going to take so long on that? Oh, maybe it's brand new and they just brought it in and there's not enough data, or the data it's taken from is only from a week or two. Okay, that makes sense. For me, I always look at it from like a curiosity standpoint. And so when we start to ask questions and look in, more answers are revealed. So like for me, like seeing how long it takes for the product to move, then that'll prompt us to say, okay, what can we do to help move it faster? Can we feature it at the top? Because think about it too. If you're having a long email, people, and we've seen this in the data, people will engage more with the things at the top and the things at the bottom, or the things that are the most contrasted and most attention grabbing. Everything else gets lost. So you don't want to have an email with 10 different sections. Even 7 different sections is too much. How do you condense an email to maybe 3 to 5 sections max where you're promoting those? Then the question is, okay, out of the 10 deals that we have, out of the 2 new products, out of the 12 popular products, what do we choose to promote? And that comes down to, okay, let's promote some of the most popular products, which we can see in the happy buyers, what is selling the most out of the past certain amount of time frame. What's new that we got to start introducing to customers, or even prime them, say, hey, this is launching in our store next week or later this weekend. Prime them ahead of time so that they get ready for the launch. They know it's coming. And then if you're going to promote deals, promote the best of the best. If you have a 40% off, a 30, a 15, and a 10, well, people are going to naturally click and engage more on the higher percentage deals. So just remove some of the lower percentage ones. Think about the emails as getting people onto the website to make a purchase or coming in store to buy what they saw online. And then if your team is trained correctly, they'll upsell them and they'll sell them on the things that those customers might be more interested in and might be better for them. So think about how you can use the popular and extremely aged inventory to add that to the marketing sections.
I love it. One thing, one quick product thing to help this conversation. I show the tool where you can dive in there. One thing we started doing, this is about a year ago, is we send a weekly email to users of the platform that shows the trend in their stores, and shows week over week trends. And people are used to getting this from a Dutchie or whatever, but it shows the trend data we have, which are not the KPIs everybody else is focused on. The aged inventory trend, the predicted days on hand trend. What we found was even that we started seeing marketers jump on just because it was pushed to them every Monday, and they could wake up over coffee and they could look at it and be like, oh, that's interesting. Like my edibles started to trend down at this location. Should I do something? I love what you said, Steve, is like, it's a question. It sparks a question. There might not be an answer in there. It's your job to go hunt an answer and go figure this out. But you can ask why. Maybe there's a good reason why, and there's nothing to be done. But maybe it's something somebody hasn't asked and needs to be interrogated and needs to be solved for in real time before it becomes a 60, 90-day problem. Like one thing we always talk about with aged inventory is that's a symptom of a problem that you should have been ahead of, right? That was a misorder. That was a brand that shouldn't have been carried. There was something there that you don't want to catch at the 90-day mark. Your cash has already been tied up at the 90-day mark. So by pushing week over week trends, so the marketing team can just get that. And we have users that log in, that sign up for our platform that almost never log in. We have all our own CTAs in there. Like click here to view the top products and click there, and we hope that starts them diving down the rabbit hole. But even just getting that email is a data point that they don't normally have access to, which are like, how are all these different things trending? How are these brands trending? How are these stores trending? To your point, how are my days on hand trending in the wrong direction potentially? As my aged inventory trending up? Can I help with that? Should the marketing team help? Somebody might not come to you and say, Steve, I need your help with this. This started happening last week. A million fires are putting out in that store. So for you to see that and say, oh, this is my job. I'm here to serve the business. I can get ahead of this. And then, hopefully there'll never be a problem here and things will smooth out in real time. get that data. Look at inventory data if you're a marketer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really hard to imagine not wanting to sink your teeth into that as a marketer myself, because like the immediacy of your ability to act when you have that information, that feedback loop, can make a real change. And like one of the things I keep hearing from across the industry, from marketing agencies, from marketing departments, is that they're killing it, but they're still getting their budget slashed, and it's because of
Mm-hmm.
this inventory problem. And so like they have very high stakes in wanting to fix that problem. The minute you give them the tiniest trickle of data, that's just that one email report, they're going to spring to action if they, or if they're worth their salt, right? Because now they
Yep.
can actually help solve for that problem. They can actually make a material impact on the organization in more ways than just one, right? They can expand what they're capable of and what they're relied on for.
There's budget crises everywhere, right? And you know, I know you all are both marketers, we work on marketing platforms. It's horrifying to see somebody slashing $2,000 a month out of a marketing budget when they have $150,000 in aged inventory that was a misorder from 90 days ago, right? Because
Yeah.
you're like, can you not find 2,000? I can tell you in 30 seconds where to find $2,000 in your inventory, right? I can tell you in 30 seconds how to adjust your order that's going out next Tuesday to free up $2,000 by not ordering an extra case here, an extra case there. And it just stacks up so fast that those budget cuts are a symptom of a deeper problem. And that deeper problem is in this inventory health data.
Yeah, and the funny thing, I started using this analogy a couple days ago when I heard that, okay, people, that marketers I've talked to in other stores, like, yeah, our marketing budget's getting cut, and they're cutting this program that usually makes us money. It's like a runner saying, hey, I need to run faster, so I need to shed some weight. I'm going to cut off one of my legs. That's what happens when these stores are, reducing their marketing budget. But in all fairness, a lot of the marketing out there isn't effective and it's not producing an ROI for revenue. And so, okay, that makes sense. But we're talking about ways that marketers can be really effective. So all the marketers that are listening here, think about it to where you're not order takers from the retail team, you're collaborators. And then you got to be the experts and give direction and guidance to where they're like, hey, we have 20 products on promo, send this out on blast. And then you as marketers need to push back and say, okay, this is great. This is too much to include in a message. So let's pare this down. Let's get the top five. Okay. We can highlight this. Let's also add in some things that are popular, new, so that we're not always promoting things on discount. Let's do that first. Let's have a couple small sections of the top four. Maybe we can have a couple little lines. So thinking hierarchy, big, smaller, smaller, and the smallest. And then you've been collaborators with them and then getting some post data saying, okay, here's how effective this campaign was at helping increase the sales velocity of some of these things
Mm-hmm.
that we're promoting. Here's how it worked out or didn't work out, because they won't know that unless it's
Yep.
paired together. So the marketers really need to prove themselves as experts and authorities by being able to collaborate and then give that recommendation back to them, not just take what they're given and blast it out.
Yeah. You mentioned an interesting point there. We were talking so much about what data marketers can pull from inventory to be problem solvers, right? Like what can I hunt for in mine here that is actionable, that I can adjust a marketing strategy around, maybe change an email that's going out and feature a different product and go to work on that problem. The other part of it, the measuring, the ROI, the measuring the success, the how did we perform is also in the inventory data, right? And Steve, I know that's something we've talked about for a long time about something that was in our Happy Marketers platform that I think you keyed in on is like seeing what people bought off of a specific email or specific text message to see how it performed. But if you go through and say, look, I think I can move Fernway at 20% faster, run rate here. I think I can increase that KPI. We showed that in the trend data. Like marketers, it's both sides of it in the inventory data that I think is really, really important, which is, if you were working on one of these brands over here, and you were just looking for a KPI here to say like, look, our profit's decreasing a little bit here. We need to get $2,000 a week more out of this brand. And you went to work on that. This is where you come in and look at it week over week, right? Having just access to really quickly KPIs on how did it perform, as is as easily accessible in here as the, hey, where are their problems to solve. So I think having this as a marketer to reflect back on, I'm trying to do targeted campaigns on a brand on a SKU level. We make that data so easy for you to pull up, to kind of back the strategies, right? Or to say, hey, this didn't work. You know, we can't, we're not gonna have 100% hit rate. Hey, we tried this on this email, it didn't work, didn't move the needle week over week on that brand. Let's look at it over here. Those things can be hard to find in the point of sale, and the point of sales don't trend the inventory health data, that we are, in that way, around aged inventory cost, dollars profit. There's a lot of KPIs that you can find in Happy Buyers that we're focused on, that when the point of sale has to do a million things, it's just one of the numbers and they're not trending as front and center.
Yeah,
Before we
and
close up, I want to make sure we tackle one question that also leads into another question. They're kind of the same question, just in different ways. Steve, also, you've been great at answering a lot of the questions that have come in live. So thanks for doing that. This one is, we wear a lot of hats and are always rushing because of our projects, but also because leadership throws us new stuff a lot. Considering none of us are able to focus only on things like email design, what's the one thing we could be doing right every time, even if it's only the one? The other question that goes with that is, like, if we were going to be doing one thing with Alpine, what should we do?
one thing, like the cool
You
thing
just
about the
get one.
platform
You
is
just
that
get one, Steve.
it can do tons of things. And so we always start with data. That's always where we start, because how do you know if it's working?
Do we freeze Steve?
I think we did.
This is the one thing he got cut off. You can't, there can't just be one.
There is no one. There's no answer to this question.
There's no one thing. What timing, everybody?
It
We
is great
love
timing.
technology in the world.
It's like
What
his computer
timing?
was like, "Hey, this was supposed to end right
Yep.
now, so we're just gonna go ahead."
This is so this was manufactured, everybody. You're gonna have to look for the email follow-up after this webinar and read it, where we will answer the what is the one thing
What is the
everybody
one
should be
thing?
doing. This
How
is
do
a
you
staged cliffhanger. I'm gonna have
Did
to
he
let
come
Steve
back?
know I
and
heard audio for a second in there. Um, so he's stuttering on his bandwidth over there. Um,
All
we might have
right.
to answer that one as a follow-up. I think that's probably our best bet here, Brad, is we'll get
Yes,
that. We will get you all the answer to that. We'll follow up, with the assets, with the deck, with all the things that we'll send after this, and we'll give Steve the opportunity there to like drop us a loom and answer that question and include it for you all.
absolutely. Are you seeing the deck now? There we are.
Yep.
I'll close this out for Steve, since we lost him. He seems to be back.
weird?
He's in
Of
slow
course,
motion.
when I get to the big answer reveal, everything cuts out.
That's all
Yeah,
right. We're
we
gonna
said
make it
that.
an email campaign after the webinar, so we can just go ahead and close it up if you like, and then your big answer reveal will come later.
We decided it was a staged cliffhanger, Steve. So we're gonna make people wait for the follow-up.
Yeah, honestly, like I'll answer real quick. Start with the data. It tells you everything you need to know to make every decision after that. That's the foundation of it all. And so AIQ has a ton of analytics you can look through. Customer segment, start there and understand how to separate customers, how to analyze. You can audience segment. For example, create a segment of people that have ever purchased vapes, and then you can click the analyze that audience button and you can see all their purchase habits and trends. And then you can take it even further and further. So start there. And yeah, one thing we do with all of stores and dispensaries across the US is we do these retention intelligence reports. It's a retention health audit, and we analyze how are things going at the store and try to figure out what can be improved and identify all the issues that's going on.
So go to tactfirm.com/report. Go check it out. Get some yourself. Also, check us out at happycabbage.io, and you can get yourself a 14-day free trial for Happy Buyers and do all the stuff that Danny and Steve just told you to do for free for 14 days. You can make an impact in 2 weeks. I'm sure you can. And if you want to reach out to Danny or Steve directly, here's their contact info. Got their websites over here. Yeah. So anyway, want to say thank you so much again to Steve. This was awesome, dude. We've been wanting to get our respective firms together to start conquering this problem because it is such a pervasive issue. So thank you so much for sharing all your data, your insights, and your good experience with the good people here.
Yeah, pleasure joining you all. Some great minds here. And anyone that attended that has questions, yeah, reach out to any of us. We'd love to collaborate with you on how you can use, if you're not using an inventory program, get on Happy Buyers, and then we can talk about how you can use that to enhance your marketing.
Market those new products,
Fantastic.
market those fast movers. Stop pushing the discounts. We'll leave you on that.
We'll see you guys in 2
See y'all.
weeks with a conversation with our Buyer's Blueprint series with Ryan Sylvie of Ready out in Massachusetts. That'll be a good one. So make sure you tune in.